clothes for all, and someday we would sing like a song.
Welcome back. Now let's look at how we're going to rebuild the North. As part of efforts to rebuild the Northeast, state governments and various humanitarian organizations have made individual contributions to help the recovery effort in the affected areas since the years of insurgency started. Now, however, relevant stakeholders are converging in different states to forge a strategy for coordinating their efforts into a more effective whole for post-conflict reconstruction of the war-ravaged areas. It's my pleasure to welcome in our studio in Lagos Mrs. Claire Omaseye, who is the President of Healthcare Federation of Nigeria. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
And our expert, our security expert, is also in the house with us this morning. Please welcome Ona Ekomo.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
And
Good morning.
joining us from Abuja is the spokesman to the Borno State Governor, Mr. Issa Gusau. Good morning. Mr. Gusau?
Good morning, Alero. It's always a pleasure being here.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. And I'd like to start with you, if I may. Now that peace is gradually returning to the area, what is the atmosphere in those areas now?
Well, thank you so much, Alero. The atmosphere is calm. The governor of Borno State, Kashim Shettima, is taking advantage, of the situation to achieve so much. At the moment, the Borno State government is working in 14 out of 20 focal local government areas. By 20 focal local government areas, I'm referring to those that are largely affected by the insurgent destructions. Just to give you a quick rundown, based on the post-insurgency recovery and peace assessment report that was carried out by the European Union, the Nigerian presidency, the World Bank, and the governments of the Northeast, Borno State has suffered destructions amounting to the tune of $6.7 billion US. I'll allow you, compute that in naira. A total of 5,335 classrooms and other school buildings were destroyed in 512 primary schools, 38 secondary schools, and 2 tertiary institutions. A total of 956,453 private houses were destroyed across the 27 local government areas. And this represents about 30% of the total number of houses in the whole of Borno State. A total of 665 municipal buildings comprising local government secretariats, electric offices, offices belonging to the Nigerian police force, the prisons were destroyed across the 27 local government areas. 726 power distribution lines were destroyed. 1,630 water sources were destroyed. 201 healthcare centers were destroyed, in addition to 16 ecosystem, and livestock. So now, what we are doing now, we are working with the military. Governor Shettima is working with the military in identifying areas where the military is not carrying out operations. At the moment, we are working in 14 local government areas. So far, reconstruction has been completed in Kaga and Konduga. You might recall that last month, on the 6th of March, the Bola Tinubu, that's the national leader of the APC, was in Borno. He commissioned a couple of projects. He commissioned 432 resettlement houses for villages in Kaga, about 5 villages along the stretch of Maiduguri to Damaturu axis. The villagers are now in their houses. He commissioned 13 basic schools comprising schools that have early child care, primary 1 to 6, and then JSS 3. He has commissioned 13 schools, and students are already there. He commissioned some agricultural equipment for women empowerment. He commissioned a general hospital and 5 primary healthcare centers within that village. So that is what is being replicated in 14 local government areas at the moment in Borno. Maybe as the conversation goes on, I will give more light.
Okay, that's a whole lot of infrastructure, and you gave us some very precise figures. Now let's move to another area of the work that's going on, healthcare. You are president of the Healthcare
Federation of Nigeria. What
is the nature of the work that you're doing, one? And leading from that, what is the state of the people who were displaced, especially the children?
Thank you so much for asking me that question. For us, the Healthcare Federation is an umbrella body of all private sector players in Nigeria, so hospitals, diagnostic centers, captains of industry. And for us, before we even start talking about the development and redevelopment of the area, we see a huge humanitarian crisis. Just a few weeks ago, Nigeria was put on the map with Somalia, South Sudan, and Yemen as being one of the 4 countries in the world with major food scarcity. I mean, for us, this was a huge shock, and I think a real reality that we in Nigeria have a big crisis on our hands. Sometimes when we talk about the Northeast, we talk about it as if it's not part of our own country. And I think one of the things that we really want to do is to make that advocacy, that we as Nigerians understand that this is a crisis and everybody has to put their hands together to resolve this problem, because one way or another, Nigerian lives are at stake. So when we talk about a crisis, what are we referring to? You mentioned the children. There are over 3 million children who are out of school. These are children that should be able to be major contributors to the Nigerian economy. Unfortunately, their schools have been destroyed, their teachers are no more. They have also almost had no real life. Nutrition is a major factor. Many of them do not have good access to great food or even water. They're drinking water from unclean sources, they're getting all kinds of waterborne diseases, and on top of this they have stunted growth. So nutrition is the main thing. To make matters worse, we are a major contributor to under 5 mortality in the world. Every day, at least, we lose at least 30 children that are under the age of 5. That is just unacceptable. We talk about
and that's in a peace environment.
That's just a small piece of the environment. We also talk about maternal mortality. We have one of the worst maternal mortalities. Women in childbirth still, unfortunately, passing away before they even give birth to their children. And it's worse there. There's no real access to quality health care. Most of the health centers have been destroyed. I can hear that there's some development going on, but the pace of development is not enough. We seem to be very dependent on international agencies, but we as Nigerians have a responsibility to collectively do collaboration with the government. Government cannot do this alone. So we really think that this humanitarian crisis is the first thing that we need to tackle. Then we can start talking about the redevelopment of the whole area. But there are at least 2 to 3 million Nigerians in 13 states across the Northeast that are already in various camps that we need to talk about and look at.